Org presents Home is Where the Hate Is.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
This is Jeremy Greer.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Welcome.
Hi, fellas. It's nice to be back here.
Hey, fellas. We're back for season 3 with Jeremy, our first repeat guest.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
First and last. I almost saw the earth behind me.
You know, you'd think that, but repeat guests are going to be the order of the day because I don't know that many people who like the Venture Brothers. I thought I knew more. So it happens when you do a trendy recap show of a show that is this old.
Yep.
So
people's reaction is, "Oh, that's I remember seeing a couple episodes." Of
that. I couldn't really get into it, but cool. So the people who are into it are real into it, and the other people are just living their lives.
I feel like it's like a test of friendship. Like if you throw out Venture Brothers, and it has to be that they've either never seen it or that they love it. Because if there's any middle ground, I'm like, oh, you're probably not that cool of a person. Like you didn't follow this for over a decade, like I did. So
it's because it made it work for you, made it tough. Mm-hmm. We're gonna take these multi-year breaks.
Yeah.
Jeremy, why this episode?
The villains. It's all the villains. I love this episode so much.
This is a really good episode, I believe.
Yeah, a little bit of a successor to Tag Sale. Yeah,
exactly. Which is another one of my favorites. I love the setup of this with Hatred taking over as the Venture's antagonist, his villain, whatever, his arch. And I love all of the stuff. Like the Moppets get really old to me eventually. Like I kind of lose a lot of affection for them. But in this episode, I think they are at their Moppet best. So
early on, they're really good. Like they are fun for a while, and then they I feel like they leave like 5 episodes after they should have. Like they stick around just a little bit too long. The big thing, I don't know if what you guys all think about this, but one of the reasons why I like this episode a lot is because as a noted Sergeant Hatred defender, the thing that I like about Sergeant Hatred is the purity of when he's not talking about his horrible problem. Yeah. That I don't blame anybody for being really squicked out by and not accepting at all. Yeah. But when he's just like, oh, the missus, howdy do, like that kind of stuff, I think is just great. I think that's very sweet and funny. And I like how competent he is during this. I like his monologue to the Monarch. Yeah. At the end, I think that part of him is very fun. And it ends up feeling like the part that survived after everything else got boiled away. It just takes a long time for them to get these, get the molestation jokes out of their system. It's like 2 seasons. Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Is this the first time we see Hatred without a shirt on? This is where we learn that the D is his dick, right? Because that is one of my favorite, like, non-explained, like, just visual gags that I've ever seen. Like, I was watching it again today, and I every time it gets me. Like, the fact that it's not just the H on his face, that it goes all the way down to heaven is just so fucking hilarious to me.
In the commentary,
he never removes it. Yeah.
In the commentary, they talk about how they wish they would have waited longer to make that reveal.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
it's also it was late for them because the episode order, like they wrote this really late in the season. It reminds me, there's a very funny Michael Cooperman comic where it's like a fake ad for buying stencils for pubic hair. So you like stencil and put these cool shapes in your pubic hair. Yeah. And like, it was like, here, get the, Mr. from Welcome Back Kotter. Get the stars of Welcome Back Kotter, get all these things. And then one of them was like, Gabe Kaplan. And then the last one is like, this one's about a guy who finds out his dad was a werewolf. It started as a novel, but I thought it'd be better as a pubic hair stencil. I think about that whenever I think about Sergeant Hatred's dick D. Yeah. This episode, written by both the boys, Jackson and Doc, aired June 22nd, 2008.
Yeah. This is our proper introduction to Sergeant Hatred. We got an off-model version of him in Cremation Creek Part 1. and we got to see him kind of before his proper hatredification. The last episode. Yeah, during Invisible Hand. And this is where we get to see him in his full glory. This is kind of a spotlight episode for him. And this also kind of establishes the dynamic. You have the Monarch's just searing jealousy and inability to adapt to a ventureless life.
Yeah. A big theme of this season. And the next one. Yeah. As you mentioned, the episode order, this was written late in the season, even though it appears pretty early. So they were in this point where they kind of written a lot of stuff with Sergeant Hatred, but hadn't really filled in the origins and the gaps. They knew that where the Monarch lived, in Phantom Limb's old house, but what was it like when he moved in?
Yeah. Searing questions the world needs to know.
The origins of who moved that specific box. We get to find out. It was henchmen.
How did the henchmen misspell linens? I have to know.
It's not even close. Yeah. So when we got off-model Sergeant Hatred, Brendan Small voiced him. That was their original plan. But then just the discussion both in the art book and in the commentary about like the development of Sergeant Hatred like is super charming because you can tell they have a lot of affection for this character. Like they just kept on riffing around him and made up the voice and started saying stuff as him. Like, oh, we have to keep this in house. This has to be us because nobody else can like capture this history that we've just improvised and developed on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea is fundamentally, again, I'm not legitimately asking anybody who's bothered by the child molestation stuff to put that away.
Right.
It's a big lift, but if you can imagine as a thought experiment, putting that away, the idea of a character who is, this villain, but it's just his job, live to, hate to live, but don't live to hate, as a philosophy is a really good idea for a character.
Yeah.
Like the kind of like punch clock, consummate professional, good old boy villain.
Yeah.
And he makes like a great contrast with the Monarch, who's a absolute black sheep, lone wolf kind of guy.
I was about to bring up that contrast because also the military theming gives it a little bit more of like a orderly. We're just hating you on a schedule today kind of situation versus the pure chaos that is the Monarch, and they delve into that really well in this episode when Fincher is just asking, oh wait, you're not going to just show up and ruin my book party? Like, okay, cool.
I also love how quickly Rusty gets over it too. Like he's just back to being annoyed.
He's grateful for a moment.
Yeah.
But then he's annoyed by the red tape.
Right.
When I worked at Fred Meyer during retail, when I first moved out to Portland, the supervisor of my department was a real Sergeant Hatred looking dude who had like a big barrel chested, like pat you on the back really hard. Extremely like if we had become friends as opposed to just like me resenting him for not letting me grow a beard and timing my shits, he would have brought me okra. Like it would have been that kind of thing. He talked about the misses. It was very Sergeant Hatred-y.
I had one of these guys as a customer for a little while. He was one of the meter readers at a utility that we do business with, and just riding around in a truck with him, it was all like war stories and how much the government sucks nowadays compared to everything else, and then like all of the conservative stuff that you can probably imagine in that. But just the vibe, like just everybody's your best friend except the government, but like any person you meet is just your best friend unless they're in the government.
Or if they're a minority, you let them know, hey, I'm aware you're a minority, but you're still okay.
It's still good. You're good for one of those.
Between us,
is the line.
But oh hell, you're all right. Like that kind of thing. Like doing you a favor of saying you're okay. Behavior I think is reprehensible in real life, but in a cartoon character, I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah. I love hearing them talk about how he's just this fundamentally good person who outgrew his job, but like is still there. Like them just talking about, because the timing of when they were writing this, like, let's take the hover tank and, bring some supplies to the Hurricane Katrina victims and stuff. Like,
I just watched When the Levee Broke by Spike Lee.
Yeah, those poor people.
It's a 4-episode docu-series.
You guys ever seen Treme? Is that what you said? I'm not really sure. It's a Cajun dialect down there.
It's a little slower than The Wire, but just like a sweet man.
Yeah.
You know, who happens to have the most vile problem that somebody can have. I know.
Yeah. It's impossible to forget because it's huge.
They use it as a punchline too much.
Yeah.
It's weird because me and Autumn like raced ahead after y'all started the podcast, so we've already finished the series. And like in later seasons, he is definitely not this guy. And I much prefer this dude than, I mean, not with all of the molestation stuff, but I prefer this kind of attitude than the kind of simpering, like not bad, but like just incompetent,
like broken
person
man.
Ineffectual. Yeah.
They break him.
Like by the time, I don't remember if y'all do spoilers on this, I think so, but like by the time they get to New York and he's like manning the security or whatever, it's just such a joke. And I don't genuinely like feel bad for the guy. I just like, why are you wasting my time? Like you've got all of this really great Dean and almost said Sam and Dean and Hank stuff happening. Why do I even have to bother with Hatred anymore? Like just get rid of it.
Yeah. I would have retired the character since I had nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
There, at that point, breaking him, like having him, his arc of genuinely trying to be a good person, like he gets fully converted. Like he's in the guild. Like when we got introduced to him this season, he was like an undercover agent for the OSI. And he gets fully converted and just joins the Venture family, like in a way that is. He's lost his wife, he lost his job, like he's not really defined by anything, and it's like kind of sweet to have him grasping for anything. And then because the show, which as much as I love it, and I think that it has moments of like great heart, can be pretty mean-spirited.
Yeah.
They just leave him down there.
I mean,
he never comes back. Like
I kind of read it as like Rusty's self-hatred just rubbing off on him, like it's if you're not walking in with the strength of character and the kind of just basically being a Greek god like Brock, that environment probably would break you.
The things that break him are all it's Monarch shit and then Princess Tiny Feet.
Yeah.
It's like he gets broken very specifically by losing his stuff he had before this. And it's and losing his medication that one time.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, it just it can be part of something like Rusty's orbit. Destroys people, because like we also get Brock ends up having like a low moment at the end of the season and the next one as well, like all the legacy of Jonas Venture Senior carries on through generations.
Caustic. The boys, Hammer Republic, they wish this episode was more popular. They take every opportunity they can to talk about how good this looks, and it does look really good.
It really does.
Yeah, like they introduced a whole bunch of new background characters because they kind of had the same stable of extras ever since Tag Sale. So they threw some more people in. Like you look at Sergeant Hatred's place, like it is full of like really good details. And we there are rooms that they talk about that we didn't get, like his war room where it's like Lego figures and trash that he's like set up in these fake wars. Like they put in the Henry Darger stuff pretty much right away before they straight up allude to it later on.
Apparently, I'm looking forward to that being in a deleted scene, hopefully. Which they hint at on the commentary. There was a working title for this called My Dinner with Hatred, that they did not use. And instead went with what I would say is probably a better title, but they're both fine.
I don't listen to the commentary, but like when they talk about the episode not being popular, is that just like feedback from the fans? Like do they just, because I can't imagine like going up to, either one of these guys and being like, oh man, I love the Venture Brothers, except for season 3, episode 3. I think he really missed the ball on that one.
It's really fucking Dr. Quimmed it with this one, man.
Exactly.
I think like their basis is like message board chatter, which they seem really tuned into at that point. And also like, well, what they explicitly say is like, oh, this isn't anybody's favorite favorite episode. And throughout throughout the commentary, when they're not dropping the T slur for trans people, they kind of like poke holes at the slow pacing of this, while they still also, really enjoy the look of it and the script.
To clarify, that's not something that happens in all the commentaries.
Yes.
Like, that's something that happens in this one.
And
the discussion around it is actually like interesting, because they're not dropping it in a hateful way. They're kind of like analyzing Brock's character.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like Brock was never, it always seems more bothered than the rest of the characters by Dr. Girlfriend.
Yeah, it's his insecurity. Yeah.
It's kind of like an interesting nuanced conversation that gets tanked by them using a slur.
Yeah.
That, I did not know was a slur at the time this was recorded.
Yeah.
My ignorance is no excuse. Their ignorance is no excuse. Don't use that word. But they are not just doing it to make fun.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that, because I know that I'm the person who jumps on hand grenades to defend these guys. The show about the child molesting with all those jokes about this is, but the character, the commentaries are not just like a nonstop.
Yeah, no. It was part of that conversation. The only reason I brought it up is just because it was like, oh, it really stuck out.
Yeah. It's like, it totally sucks to hear. It's just like, oh man, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going through the same thing, listening to a hip hop podcast where a guy interviews LP, and it makes me like delve into the music, like some of the stuff that I hadn't heard from LP. LP is one half of Run the Jewels, if you didn't know. And it's that dude is just not afraid to use like the hard R slur at any point, like song titles and everything. And I'm like, ugh. But like, I don't know. The Moldy Peaches went back and like re-recorded a bunch of music because they did that. And like, I don't know. I don't expect LP to do that, but it still just really sticks out to you nowadays.
It's a weird thing.
21 years,
Yeah. Stuff doesn't always age.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. This starts off with a paperboy biking through a supervillain neighborhood. This is our first appearance of Malice, a town called Malice, which is a reference to the Jam. And we're getting kind of cameos from a bunch of these different villains. And the kind of twist is when he turns his head, it turns out he's a robot.
Yeah.
We're later going to see the robot doorman of this gated community. The supervillain community run by robots.
Yeah.
I would take a spin-off in this.
Just every episode about a different house. Yeah. The Monarch calls us, he says like Boca Raton on Halloween or something like that. He was over it before it even started. He hates the buttoned up gated community kind of thing. He also hates living in Phantom Lim's old house. Like, he's burning the bed because he cannot tolerate the idea that Dr. Girlfriend slept with him there. So he starts out on a real note, though he is accurate in saying it is unacceptable that Phantom Limb has a copy of The Secret.
They love making The Secret on the show. This is something we pointed out before, but the Monarch being over it right here makes him a really good foil for Rusty. Like, they're both part of the game. And Monarch definitely finds the death rays and shit cool, but he also has this disdain for the rules and the pageantry of it. Yeah. Like, he has a genuine hate, but he doesn't like any of this shit the same way that Doc doesn't.
Yeah. He's only in it for the venture.
Yeah. He's totally like, he hates having to live in this town the same way Doc hates having to fill out those forms.
Yeah.
They're all just playing the parts. Dr. Girlfriend's trying to console him, like, Sergeant Hatred's nearby. Like, you're friends with him, and Manta Claus is there. You love Manta Claus. Before I learned he had a little scuba tank in his claws are made of Sculpey. Sculpey would not work as a claw.
Nope.
That shit's fun to use, but it's fragile.
But yeah, Monarch is like, I only hung around with Sergeant Hatred so my henchmen could rob him blind, which is a fun throwaway joke from season 2 that ends up turning into Sergeant Hatred's whole motivation for revenge.
I love this part where we actually get introduced to Sergeant Hatred proper, like the smoke, the red smoke, the burning the H in the grass, and don't worry, if a man comes out, it's Jesus. I just like, what have they been teaching you in that pod, man?
The commentary sheds light on that. That's apparently like a real quote from a woman who thought she saw an alien or something.
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like it's
wow,
this
okay.
weird, it's this weird story from like a news story or something like that. Like they lifted that, which I was really surprised
Yeah.
by. I mean, I guess out of the two boys, I'd imagine Dean would be the more Jesus-y of the two.
Yeah, but hatred rolls up and he's doing everything short of blaring "Ride of the Valkyries" out of the stereo.
Yeah. Just great. Shows up and just gets the boys, asks her dad around, and we get our title screen. And I love how we don't see the action again. Venture Brothers, like you don't get to see the cool thing that happens, which we just get to see the pan across all of the different, all of his henchmen. What are Sergeant Hatred's people called?
Oh, they're the malice knots or something like that.
Yeah, malice troops, or like something like that. But just like absolutely destroyed by Brock,
Missing limbs and stuff, just limping back to the tank. Oh man,
God, and Brock just standing beside Rusty and just panting, like covered in blood is just really, really funny. Just like he has murdered his way through this place and is now exhausted because of it. It's just super funny.
Yeah, it was a threat mismatch. Like they're inside and Rusty's apologizing for Brock's overreaction. Like I don't know, it seems pretty right.
Yeah, he's taking him inside. Here to have this the howdy do here. Here's a basket of howdy do okra, which I fucking love the okra thing.
Yeah,
my wife grows the hell out of it. And okra is a weird food. Like you can fry that and dip it in a remoulade, and it's pretty good. Yeah. Otherwise, it's something in like a nutrient slime.
Yeah,
like something like a stringy slime. Yeah, you can have like it's pretty gross.
It's even better because he's like, can't stand the stuff myself, but we grow the hell out of it. Like he doesn't even eat it; he just grows it.
I love the idea of a basket of how do you do. That is so fun. Like in the commentary and the book, they both mentioned at a convention, a fan came up to them dressed as Sergeant Hatred, and did the whole routine. Like gave them a basket of okra,
wrapped in the mylar and everything. Yeah,
super sweet. Hatred is really excited to be arching Dr. Venture. This is later revealed to be an act. Like he knows, when he talks to Monarch about how he's going to treat him. Yeah. But he's just like very excited because that name has, such cachet. Yeah. He puts the pro and protagonist, like arching adventure is a big deal.
A couple episodes after after General Man Hours took a dump on the moving walkway, not literally, of course, but here we have it was a shoe. Sorry. We've got Hatred being real impressed about it, like, oh gee, nifty, like riding along complimenting Brock on the grass on the compound.
Lush. Yeah. And again, this is all once you realize this is an act, like like I'm gonna treat your arch and give him breakfast in bed. This ends up making a lot more sense. Yeah. It's like charming, but it's also like it's psychological warfare in a way that has a little bit of depth. Yeah. This is where he does the thing where he's like, oh, you're not going to be like interrupting my book clubs and he's just like, none of that amateur hour shit, He's been doing this for a long time. It doesn't have to be unpleasant for either of us. Mm-hmm. I know the difference between arching and real life.
Yeah.
That's great.
Which is hilarious because like this is a job. How do you make money doing this?
I got a question for you guys I was thinking about.
Yeah.
What is Princess Tiny Feet? Is she a villain? Or is she just like a person who happens to be dressed like the Land O'Lakes?
I think she's a themed human.
Just like a
themed human. I feel like she's like a hanger-on, right? Like she just like hangs out with villains without doing any villainy to herself. Like because we see her later. Like I think he deliver her to or pick her up from some other villain's house or something that she's kind of having some weird sexual relationship with. Like I feel like she would just be hanging out with Andy Warhol on the side.
Yeah, but why does she dress like the Land O'Lakes? This is a butter creature. It's a woman. It's drawing a woman.
It's a woman. It's an indigenous woman.
Butter creature was a field ad campaign from the 80s. Had to retire.
Yeah.
What do I feed you?
Trying to make the butter more edgy.
Yeah. It's just like she doesn't do any villainy. They don't do any she doesn't do any villaining or heroing. She just kind of like has sex with Manta Claus and shit.
She's just real inert. I think she's basically just a prop for hatred, which not the best, but also
Originally just a joke about that guy in the Starbucks looking at foot porn.
Yes. Yeah.
I couldn't stop myself from looking this up, and I just want you to know that Land O'Lakes called her the Butter Maiden. I just want...
That's the word I was looking for.
Land O'Lakes says bye to Butter Maiden. Come on. Oh, man. Bamco, stop making them do DLC for Dark Souls 3 already.
Ashes of the Butter Maiden. The second phase is the Land O'Lakes Butter Creature. We cut over to the Monarch moving stuff into his house. 21 asks him to sign a card for 24, revealing who got stabbed at the end of the last season.
Yeah.
And they do it twice in this episode where they just draw a line on the inspiration. Like the Monarch goes, "Oh, the one who talks like Ray Romano," and then later they draw attention to Dr. Girlfriend. How she dresses. It doesn't bug me, but I just noticed it when I was watching. I was like, "Oh, they're leaning on that joke a couple times."
It's way funnier with Dr. Girlfriend.
That's a
Jacqueline Onassis.
Just is very sweet.
Oh man.
They decided they're going to keep them separate. The henchmen are going to live in the cocoon, which will orbit the house. They demand that, but the Moppets, Dr. Girlfriend wheedles the Monarch into letting the Moppets stay because he says that the other henchmen have been teasing them because they're different.
God, I love, or just to say like, oh, they're picking fights and whatever. No, they're stabbing people, dude.
Yeah, it's like absolute monsters. And I love them bringing in their little cat bed to live at the foot of the.
Oh my god, dude, that is one of the best jokes ever.
the co-sleeper.
Yeah, it's so good. I rewatched The Office recently, and I forgot that like Michael Scott has to live on one of those. When he lives with Jan, they give him a little bed at the show for a second. He's got a little bed like at the foot of the bed.
Over here's the plasma screen.
Cameras set up.
But Monarch, there are 20 different rooms in this house. You don't have to sleep at the foot of our bed.
I also love that the Moppets, like, because Dr. Girlfriend kind of tells the Monarch, like, oh, they came to me crying, said that 24 picked a fight with them or something. And I'm like, 24? Even Monarch is like, no, can't really see that.
She's like, can you believe it? And he's like, 24? No, I can't believe it.
The way that they play her like a fiddle. It's so good.
Whatever their end game is, their weird sexual end game. Like I saw mom's panties. Yeah. They were white panties. Like they're those horrible little perverts. Shit.
Back over at the compound, Hatred is running Dr. Venture through a questionnaire about allergies and drug interactions, and also asking him to rate various spider and poison related threats.
Yeah, for being scary. And I just love Rusty's overness. He's like, hand grenade.
Two.
One. Two. He just doesn't give a shit. This is great. As he's leaving, he's like, it's such an honor to be working with you, and then pulls a gun and shoots him in the gut. Brock is about to destroy Sergeant Hatred, but it's just a rubber bullet. And I really like James Urbaniak's performance here of just writhing and making noises on the ground.
He's been shot
bleeding out. There's this big puddle of blood.
Here's the thing about rubber bullets: they're still made of metal. They just have a coating on them. They're meant to be bounced off of a surface. Yeah.
At the time when this came out, I think that the idea was rubber bullets would just bounce off you.
Yeah.
It was before we understood that they were less lethal.
Yes.
Rounds. Before Portland got set on fire every night during the summer and cops came and shot people with rubber bullets all the time. We understood that they killed people and made them blind and shit.
Right. It was just 86 the non-lethal. We're going full Nerf on this one.
Yeah.
He had already pulled the punch and it ruined him. Like, oh, your gut shot. Okay. He's a bleeder.
It's a Private Schwa. To come and get the thing. All of his henchmen are named after like non-specific keys on a keyboard, like schwa and tilde and stuff, which is great.
I didn't know that. I didn't even pick that up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Monarch doesn't want to go to Hatred's party, so he's like, "No, I'm just gonna sit here and look at the Facebook. Look at it for a new arch." And we see some preview, some stuff coming later this episode. We see Dr. Dugong. Dr. Quim shows up, and then Professor Flowers. We don't actually see Professor Flowers, but those other two show up later.
Yeah.
Dr. Dugong is like my secret favorite character in all of this now since I finished season 7. Like the way that like they just kind of because we're going to see him like pop up a couple of times in future episodes, and it just the way that it all wraps up towards the end is just fucking hilarious to me. Like I just love it.
Yeah.
Just the way that this offhanded plot of like an episode that most people would have just filed away, like, there you go. Nope, becomes a major motivating factor in season 7.
It's like a big part of season 7.
Yeah.
Good job, boys.
Yeah. So Dr. Girlfriend goes to leave, and as Monarch's flipping through the book, he starts fantasizing. Oh, Rusty is talking to him through the book. Then he realizes, I'm actually hearing the voice. The Ventures got the wrong address. They stopped by they stopped by the Monarch's house unaware, and knowing that Rusty is going to the party, Monarch's like, oh, okay, I'll go. I'm going to get some arching in on the side.
Yeah, I love these. Like, you can't miss it. It's the one with the gigantic H on the yard. Like, we never actually see that, but I like the branding. So we go to the party. I'm a big fan of a bad party. As a plot device. All the stuff like the parlor games are very fun. I love Brock in this section. Like, everything about a shitty party is funny to me.
Yep.
He shows up with his family. Sergeant Hatred calls him out for bringing the boys, the beautiful boys. He can't be within 50 feet of them. And Rusty's about to leave because of this. And then the Monarch shows up and says, like, hey, I've got a whole henchman I got a big floating rumpus room, nearby with guys with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Setting up another really fun, I like the boys with the henchmen anytime that shows up.
Absolutely.
They're all kids. And Brock is concerned about this, but, it's like, oh, stop your whining. He's been clipped. He's harmless, which is a brutal thing to say in front of somebody.
Been clipped.
Yeah.
You got scars
that is so mean.
And then he gets distracted. Ooh, shrimp. And just Monarch seething hatred at every single thing that he does. Oh, he's eating all the cocktail shrimp. I hate people who do that.
Yeah. 21 tries to put the kids to bed at 8, but they ain't falling for it. So they end up having fun because they're friends. Like, they just don't admit it yet.
Yeah.
I like the decor in Sergeant Hatred's house a lot.
It's so
of
good.
Him being like a conservative shithead. Like a big picture of Richard Nixon and the Confederate flag and shit in the basement. Like, he's kind of like the dad in American Beauty.
Yeah.
Like, you have like a Nazi. It's like that, but for Confederate shit.
But it's also mixed with Princess Tiny Feet stuff, so there's all kinds of like Southwestern art and stuff up there too. Yeah,
really well designed.
I don't know. This doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but I rewatched Silence of the Lambs recently, and the killer Buffalo Bill never had picked up on his entire house being filled with Nazi paraphernalia. Like, he's got a swastika like blanket on his bed. That's super.
Where do you
fucking
buy
weird.
One of those?
It's also very.
No, he can sell. He can sell. Yeah.
It's also a thing where they don't really spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
In that thing, it's like can you imagine Buffalo Bill just being like, "Listen, I wanted to be the Nazi killer, but no, they had to concentrate on the suit of human skin." I should watch that again. I remember enjoying that movie. Even though I remember the jogging scene at the beginning lasting like 20 minutes. Is that true, or is it less fast?
It's over pretty quick, but it's real slow music and credits while it's playing. So like it feels like it goes on forever. We're all into the Hannibal cinematic universe right now. We watched Manhunter or Manhunter, whatever the Michael Mann movie from the 80s is, with the villain from X-Men 2 playing Hannibal Lecter, just hilariously bad.
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox,
I watched all those. I got into those books as well. Like, it's some of the only big popular fiction I read.
Yeah, that's some good shit. Y'all want to do a Hannibal podcast? We can do shit.
let's just pivot. We'll just keep all the same branding and stuff, the same theme song.
see how long it takes for people to notice we're talking about Hannibal instead of.
Just change a couple of names around. It's basically the same.
Pretty much.
So the partygoers, they're doing the game where you have a celebrity name on your back, and other people have to give you clues to guess what you are. A time for fun. And this is really cute, and this is also a fun game. I play this in team building shit in like offices and jobs, and I think this is fun. There's that Inglorious Bastard scene with this that's really good.
Some of those are hard. I don't know how I could get somebody to understand that they were Mark Knopfler without saying the band name.
Mark Knopfler, that was just them doing the music.
Oh, of course.
Being the creators being music wanks. Dr. Girlfriend is Jacqueline Onassis. So, she's modeled after. She's talking to Vain Gloria, who's trying to give her hits. And I like this a lot. Like, me? Very cute.
Monarch, the passive aggression, just outright aggression between the Monarch and Rusty, where Monarch is just telling Rusty what he thinks of him, like, oh, you're useless, you're a nothing, you're coasting on your father's money and reputation, and there's just like a good like cheap shot political joke in there. I'm George Bush. Hitler? Was Hitler's dad famous?
The joke about this is, he's like, you'll never amount to anything. You should just drink poison. He goes, oh, my Socrates' son, which is funny. But I love when he finds out Mariah Carey and he's like so close. Like to him, all those things made sense. These made sense.
Oh, God. And Brock is Harry Dean Stanton. I love your work and Fire Walk With Me, but most people know you from...
Well, he quits. Like, again, Brock is great. He just pulls it off and wins. He's talking to the mentalist. This guy, or the egoist. The egoist is this guy who only gets lines in this one, but shows up as a background character tons. In the original conception for Sergeant Hatred, they used to have him be a mentalist character, and a precog, and hang out with these two precog guys that show up here. So like really early on. He's a very different character. But this little bit with Dean where 21 puts him up towards cheering up on 24, who's getting a blood transfusion, and he goes in as Patch Adams. I'm always down for a Patch Adams thing.
The healing power of laughter.
That dude in real life. I watched a documentary on that guy in college. That guy fucking sucked.
Sucks still. Like I heard there was like an interview with him on the David Pakman show like a year ago or something like that. No, just still out there doing stuff and not great.
Just talking about how mental health is only about attitude. You just need to put on a happy face.
Jesus.
I love this as a prank. I love like 24's like, I hate you. Just like very fun.
Oh, I mean, it's just like if your friend's got a real boring story in them, you sick them on another friend who hasn't heard that, it's just like it's like Will with the
I was just gonna say all of Will's horrible stories. The Gather the Keys one, like any of the things you can just tell Will to just repeat on the time.
Are you doing that Blues Traveler bit again? No, stop it. Hold on, let me introduce you. Let me go get Autumn. I'll be right back.
Impressed me with how you've memorized the fast part of that Blues Traveler song.
That was out of bounds. I shouldn't make fun of him when he's not here to defend himself.
No, you should.
He does it to you all the time, so don't worry about
it.
There's a wall. There's supposed to be a wall there.
It's a one-way wall. It's like a mirror. Hank and now that they've distracted 24, Hank and 21 are going in to check on Tim, Tom, and Kevin. Like 21 is asking for Hank's help during this, which never really goes anywhere.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, you're afraid of those little guys, and he's like, no, like seriously, they're horrible. They're like these little spider monkeys with knives. I think they're watching a porno, but they're watching 21's DVD copy of Nell, which again just puts this like right in the pocket for me. And then they also think they're watching a porno because there's a part where like Tim, Tom, and Kevin's like, fuck this shit. It's like very funny because Nell is mostly Jodie Foster walking around a cabin yelling "Chickapay" for almost the entire movie. They also you get to see Schindler's dick. During this as well. They mentioned
they pulled the punch. The initial line was going to be Darkman's dick, but they thought Darkman would be a little bit too obscure.
Jesus.
Yep. You do get to see Liam Neeson's Wengo in Nell. You get to see Jerry Foster yell Chickapay, and you get to see Liam Neeson's dick before he was like an action guy.
Yeah, what was with the 90s? Because like that came out right around the time we got Gary Oldman's dick in the Scarlet Letter. A lot of weird Irish dicks in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Man, you guys had a totally different Pause and Toss website than I did.
We subscribed to Dr. Skin. It was Mr. Skin after college. Didn't only give us specific celebrities. They changed the channel to a closed circuit camera and notice the being spied on.
Yes.
So that's going to be our default.
Sweet infinity shot. Yeah, this starts a Scooby-Doo chase between them. Sergeant Hatred is taking the Monarch down to the Rumpus Room / R&D lab. We don't get to see the War Room, which is unfortunate. And Hatred, again, he knows what he's doing, but he's showing off like the dart guns and stuff to the Monarch. Trying to brag on him about how great his technology is. And Monarch's like, oh yeah, we got similar stuff. It's all just repainted versions of Hatred stuff.
Yeah, he has the exact same stuff because they've just been stealing from him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is for plot. Then to show him his fresh invention, this micro explosive you place on the base of someone's spine and does a targeted little mini explosion.
Yes.
So Monarch steals it in order to take out both his enemies, to frame Sergeant Hatred and to take out Dr. Venture.
Yeah. Rusty will not let Charlene go. Dr. Wife, Dr. Girlfriend is like, no, we didn't do anything. In the commentary, they talk about like, we have to always do this because people always think that they slept together in that episode when they didn't.
Yeah. Which we see her inject him with the chrysalis stuff, and then he passes out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's so weird that fandom's just like, oh man, but she probably sucked his dick after he passed out. Like I don't understand why they're invested in them actually consummating their non-love.
Yeah.
I do love real confident and shitty Rusty though, like just being completely confident in his own abilities, and Dr. Girlfriend just like completely checked out, like nothing happened. Nothing happened.
It's just sick of dying the world max to greatness. I love this Brock beat. Rusty goes to find Brock and he's just like in a den. He just let himself in. He's like, what are you doing? Watch this PBS documentary on giant crossbows. Why? I don't know. It was cool.
which is the reason you would watch that.
Yeah, and like he tries to get him to leave. He's like, I don't know. They're gonna fire it. I gotta see what that looks like.
I really want to see him fire that crossbow.
Yeah. Apparently, this is a real documentary about Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Who did designs for a giant crossbow that they decided to build. Which I'm kind of surprised that Doc and Jackson didn't make a Da Vinci giant crossbow villain back in like the Orb days.
Yeah.
I guess that portrays they don't really know when Da Vinci lived.
I was gonna say that's like the 1920s. Like,
I had no fucking clue, man. Da Vinci could be. You could tell me Da Vinci was alive, and I wouldn't believe it. But if you told me twice, I'd believe it. So
yeah,
you insisted.
Yeah, Brock just can't be bothered because he knows that this is just the game. Like, oh, you're safer here than anywhere else because nobody would touch you. The guild has a code, right? Hatred walks in and he wants to bring Rusty back out because like, oh, it's your party. But there's a beat here where like, oh, did you leave this door open? My cat got out. Apparently it's a gigantic
that was a cat. It's huge. We never get to see Sergeant Hatred's gigantic cat.
I want to see
I want to see this huge, weird-looking cat that even like has Brock shook a little bit. Like,
Brock thinks
it was a costume.
Yeah. I also really well observed joke when they go back out and they're playing charades and Rusty is just doing a bird and everyone's making bird guesses and the answer is just birdie. Like I've been in that charade section or that situation. That's very fun to me. Like I love it's birdie. Like it's birdie. Like that delivery is great.
He's been doing the same thing for 5 minutes and he didn't tell them it was one word.
Well, that kind of shit, like that charades, like is very easy to get frustrated. Like I love charades actually. Like I think it's a really fun party game.
Yeah.
But it's very easy just to be like, you gotta tell me how many fucking syllables it is.
Yeah.
If you or like doing win, lose, or draw or Pictionary with somebody, and it's like you have to start drawing a different shape because I'm obviously not fucking getting it.
Yeah. No.
You know, you have to try something different.
Yeah. Run into that when we do blather around on Jackbox.
Between this and you liking the name, the celebrity sticker thing where you have to guess the celebrity, you go to some lame ass parties, man.
I seem like a fun guy. Right? Here's the thing: is I don't go to parties. I have had work parties, and then in my real life, all the parties I go to are concerts.
Yeah.
So like house shows. So if I'm going to be doing a thing where like people talk to each other, it's been at work. If people are sitting in the basement listening to music, it's been a party.
I had a real culture shock. It was like a holiday party that my boss, like one of the owners of the company that I used to work for, threw, and like I showed up, and it was like a party that had a schedule. It was like, you know, like courses in the meal, and then like here's the time for this activity, and then the kids are going to play some music or whatever. I think it was like a money thing or like a weird person thing, because like that I was talking about this, like, oh, you're talking about an open house, that's not a party. Like, no, you just have people over and you drink and talk. Oh, it's an open house, that's not a party. Am I wrong? Am I describing something from the moon?
You're describing something horrifying. I can't imagine. All of these parties sound like they're lame. Where's the beer?
Call me, I guess I'm just a big lame, because if it had beer, but there were like games, I'm into it. I mean, I like doing a thing at a party. I hate the just kind of like, I'm going to just kind of go from conversation group to conversation group, just kind of wander around with a beer. Like I need something, a fire. You know, I need there to be a central thing to look at or listen to.
Well, because eye contact is intolerable. Yeah, but
like I'm just gonna sit there in a kitchen and look at somebody and talk to them, and I'm gonna ask where you went to school. Like that shit sucks entire ass. Like it is so boring to be at a party with strangers where everyone is just telling each other what their jobs are.
Yeah.
Like that's the boring party. Oh, we're gonna talk about your kids? Go to fucking hell. Like you probably like it because you guys are talking about homeowner shit. Like you go there and talk about my friend Zach had a housewarming party when I went and visited him in New York. I was in New York for like 4 days. I spent one of them at this party where I watched him tell 10 people about his dryer. I'm not fucking joking. It was from Korea, and it made a little song when it was done. And he told the exact same story to like a bunch of people. And I'm like, who are you? And what did you do with my friend?
Yeah.
I cannot believe you guys are like, oh yeah, games are boring. I'd much rather talk about yards and garages. Water heaters. We can talk about water heaters.
Structure is boring is the thing. Tell you what, I've got a dryer. It's from Korea. It's a Samsung, and it does play a little song when it finishes.
That's not interesting, Cole. It's not boring. Content is boring.
Hey, Cole.
Yeah,
Cole. There's a $50 sensor you can get to put inside your dryer that sends a push notification to your phone when the clothes are dry. Just putting that out there.
Okay.
Pretty cool, dudes.
Yeah. In case you're in a real hurry to fold your clothes.
Something happens when you make a kid or you buy a home. It just kills you.
10 minutes away from finding out that Gary is like the cornhole king of Portland or something. That's his favorite party activity.
I had to roll up on a yo-yo and do 17 levels of tricks to blow everybody away.
Yeah. That's more of a Midwest thing, though. The cornhole at the party or the ladder ball or whatever. That is fun. I go in for a toss game.
Oh, that's an okay activity. It's either that or eye contact and dryer talk.
No, because it's just out there. Like what I don't like is the person getting up and being like, "Oh, I'm the maestro. I'm going to conduct this party."
Fun.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily like that. But if somebody's like, "Hey, does anybody want to play this?" And like some people are like, "Yeah, let's fucking put on Jackbox." Or
if it's available, that's fine. Yeah.
Dude, I am.
What's
that is when I'm
available
out.
And like, what are you talking about, Cole?
What?
Like, were you conscripted into doing it? Were you forced to? Like, it sounds like there was a schedule, but did somebody make you do it?
I mean, otherwise I would have been sitting in a room alone.
I guess you could have watched a documentary on crossbows.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah.
Well, people, write in. Tell us about your favorite and least favorite kinds of party. Are you a Nicole, Jeremy, or Gary in this regard? Take our YM quiz.
Oh God, I like hanging out in the kitchen. That's where the drinks are. Come on.
Backyard at the very least, because you can at least look at something and you can pee. In the kitchen, you have to go find a bathroom.
Oh, you can. There's a sink right
that's
there.
That's a custom
dude.
blend of grass. I don't need your urine all over it. Okay.
Don't care about what type of grass you have. Homeowners.
If you're gonna
How
piss
am I
on
the
the
oldest person in this conversation.
if you're gonna piss on the lawn, then at least have the good sense to spray paint it green because you're gonna leave a spot.
Yeah. Well, if you spread the pee, because the part that gets a spot is only the part that gets too much urine. The part in the corona around it gets just the right amount of urine. You'll notice this if you notice a place where dogs pee on lawns,
Oh,
because
then it gets greener.
it'll look like really vibrant.
The added
And then the
phosphates.
center will be brown.
Yeah.
So let's say what you gotta do is you gotta stick your thumb over it and then like just water the entire grass and it'll be more lush.
Okay.
God, can't wait for Kira to show up at my next party with a stinky thumb and a box of cat categories or some shit.
Hey guys, want to play Dry Gary's thumb? Awesome.
Oh God.
I do. Getting back to the episode, I like when Monarch jumps back up and he's like, "I'll show you how it's done." And I can't even remember the movie that he was getting, but like she gets electric boogaloo like instantly. That's what it is. Like she just nails it. And like when the very few times that I play party games, and usually they're not at parties, they're just like two people over or something. Me and Autumn aren't allowed to like play Taboo together because we just know each other so well. They won't put us on the same team. So I really like that little insight into their relationship.
Is really fun. Like my friend Austin and I are undefeated in Pictionary. Like we have that going on, and we're both like relatively talented artists who can go quick. Lots of board games I'm horrible at, but that one we also got broke up because it was just like like a fun feeling.
Yeah.
So he at this point he says something, Sergeant Hatred says no talking, and even though they got it, he doesn't give them the point. And I love this bit where Monarch starts doing a villain speech. He's just like, we're all super villains here.
We've
like,
heard that speech 1,000 times.
Yeah, you can do that.
21 and Hank, they run in. Dean's gotten through to 24. This is the second time we've heard the story about 24's dad marrying his ex-girlfriend.
Very funny.
Dean says it's practically a Greek myth.
That's so good. Tim, Dom, and Kevin are stalking 21 and Hank with the radar locator. And they get outside. They end up running. They join forces. 24 has to get up and run. His pancreas is opened back up. One thing I like this episode. I think that the stuff where the boys are hanging out is fine. The stuff with the Moppets chasing them and stuff is a little bit like, I don't know, maybe a little bit weaker for a B plot.
It's too much Moppet. Like there's too many. You cut back to them being like comically evil, and it's all of the things I hate about the Moppets. Like the Moppets are at their best when they're kind of simping for Dr. Mrs. the girlfriend, and not when they're like maniacally killing people. So.
Just them wanting to kill 21 and 24 for no particular reason.
Yeah.
It's not that interesting.
Yeah. Like it made sense at the start because they were asserting their dominance, but yeah.
They've got their dominance. They put one of them in the hospital. They recognize the sound. They're trying to figure out what it is. And I was like, oh, is that Pac-Man? And they do the ending sound. It's like, no, when Pac-Man's just going forward, it's more like hung, 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 hung. Very cute. But when they realize it's a tracker, they take off their suits to trick the Moppets.
Yes. And the Moppets savagely stab the costumes, which are just hanging up on a hedge. And then the chase continues until the plots kind of collide. Outside on the deck, Dr. Girlfriend is, talking with Hatred, just basically trying to like set the Monarch up with a new arch, oh, I've heard that you can just, you could actually arch Dr. Consummate like he used to be a sidekick or whatever. Like, God, he is not interested at all. And the Monarch takes his frustration on this out on her because he sees that she's smoking. And I love this line. When did you start smoking? 1989-ish.
The other line is Hatred's when he's like, I'll just say it, the 3-pack a day voice.
I'll just say it. Yes. But this is, the low key theme of the Monarch just losing his temper and being totally shitty to his wife and girlfriend. You know, there's not tons of growth on that. Like that basically continues for the whole series.
Yeah.
Growth on her part. Hatred is, this is the first outward sign that he's just doing this to get under the Monarch's skin. It says, hey, you need to relax. I know when she was with Phantom Limb, he could get her relaxed. And he takes exception to this. He's like, I know just what'll relax you. Get undressed. And that's our commercial cut.
Yeah.
It turns out they're going to take a soak in the hot tub.
Yeah. A lot of nude hot tubbing in this.
Yeah. Yeah, hot tub's good.
You don't bring swimsuits to a party. I mean, maybe Gary does, but I don't bring swimsuits to a party. So.
I don't bring them to a party, but if there's a hot tub, like, man, what
shit, dude? If it's summertime, I keep the trunks in the car. I don't know.
Yeah, or I'll go in, if I'm at a party and there's a hot tub. I'll go in a hot tub in my boxers.
Yeah, okay.
Like, yeah, why not? Like, they're not made for it, but they're not going to get hurt by it. It's just water.
Yeah, But no, I love a hot tub. But
okay,
yeah.
So you guys are gaslighting me about what's fun.
No,
like,
it's not
sure hot tubs. It's no washer and dryer combo.
No.
It's a garage door opening technology, but it's kind of fun.
I do need a new garage door opener. The chain keeps coming loose. It gets stuck halfway.
Shut up.
I found one the other day that's HomeKit compatible, so you can do it with your phone.
What kind of app you got for your garage door opener?
No, I don't take it. Hot tubs are good. I just the nude hot tubbing that everybody just assumes that everybody feels very natural doing. I've never been in a situation where that has been, where you throw let's say carrots in the stew without having some mesh netting around it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I've gone to a party and there's been a hot tub and like people are naked in it, I'm never like, what this needs is me. Add myself as an ingredient to that, like not in a million years.
But Hatred is doing this kind of dominance play with Monarch. He's got him in the hot tub, and Monarch's kind of uncomfortable or whatever. And this is where he decides to drop the dime on him. Saying, you can treat me like a doddering old man all you want, but I know your henchmen have been robbing me blind, but I'm going to get my revenge. I'm going to treat your enemy like a goddamn king. I'll make him breakfast in bed.
I'm going to serve him breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
I love that line so much. I'm going to make him breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't do anything to him, but you can just make him watch and squirm. And they point this out in the commentary, but it's that thing like someone's dating your ex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that same kind of thing. Like, and the Monarch says like, well, joke's on you. I'm going to take both of you out. I put that micro explosive on Rusty's spine. When he blows up, you're going to get blamed for it. Since you're his arch and it happened in your house, you're going to get ejected from the guild. But the problem is Rusty, his man Brock, told him he has to come out and socialize. So he unveils his carrot and then gets into the tub.
Yeah. What's he say? Like, my astounding intellect isn't the only thing I inherited from my father.
Yeah. What do you think's going on with this ding dong, man?
I mean, we see it in the commentary version. It's just a ding dong.
I didn't watch this on DVD.
Okay.
So I did not see the ding dong, but that is a move to just be up there like, okay, boys, it's like, don't be jealous.
Pick your jaws up off the floor.
It's a weird move, man.
Yeah.
I cannot stand when you get around a dude that's completely comfortable and sometimes like a little aggressive about casual nudity. I just can't fucking stand it. Like it weirds me out in a way that I can't describe. I don't know if it's some weird like religious shame or something, but I just want to run from the room screaming every time it happens. I would just, oh man,
it has
dudes walking around.
It has all of the all of the semiotics of a power play. Like I think that it feels like they are trying to assert some kind of dominance over the situation or control, and I don't care for that.
Yeah,
I told this story before on podcast, but there's a dude who, like, one of my friends when I was in high school was friends with these like much older people who were all crazy drug people who, I was adjacent to. Like, they weren't my friend sphere, but they were friends of friends. And there's a guy in this group known as Bogle, which is the perfect name for this dude. And we were over at that house at one point, and that dude had previously, at a time when I wasn't there, had exposed his dick. And, as you wouldn't be in just a normal situation, was not erect.
Yeah.
And then apparently came back in after like working himself into a boner to be like, see guys, I told you it's not small. like just like, I'm going to go get myself a boner and then come back in the room and let everybody know. Yeah, man, it's fucking weird. And it's also just like, no, I'm gonna go masturbate a little bit and then you'll see. You'll see.
I'll show you how drunk I am. I'll hold that baby. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a grower. They exist.
Yeah.
And it's just weird, man, dick culture.
Yeah.
Like none of that stuff is good.
I don't care for it. I don't care for it one bit.
I don't even
see. Like I want to run away from this podcast because we're talking about it so much.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
I don't want to see my dick. I want to put like like if I ever get cyber eyes, I'm going to get the implant that allows me to pixelate out my own genitals.
There you go.
So I just have to masturbate by guessing.
Just get one of those things like you put over a cat or a dog's tail that covers up their butthole. Like just put one of those on the front. Yeah.
A little modesty shield. That's what you need.
Yeah. Or underwear, I guess. This is the way that we all come away from this as like never nudes.
Yep.
2/3 which don't like playing board games at parties.
I mean, Cole is basically confessed that he's wearing a swimsuit at all times, so he's just ready.
I'm not always wearing the swimsuit.
That's what I remember you saying.
No, there's the trunks are always in the trunk. You always keep a change of clothes in your car, and if it's the summertime and there feasibly could be a pool, you have the trunks in your car. Come on,
level of prep. That was really good. When Rusty sits in the hot tub, he does not do the speech from Austin Powers. No, unfortunately. They're very scared. Like they think he's going to blow up. He doesn't do the speech. The countdown comes down and it just makes some bubbles.
Yeah.
And he thinks he farted, which I know when I fart. Like I was confused by this. So I was like, sorry about that. It must have been the shrimp. And it's like, well, did you not? You feel a shrimp fart, man.
Yeah.
Like that's not the kind of fart you walk home from. Like,
no.
That happened.
Yeah. But the chip was a dud. I
assumed it got sorted out by the water.
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. But then of course 21 and 24 run by in the background naked because they've taken off their suits, echoing the line about the shrimp. They say, help, the shrimps have knives. Talking about, Kevin and Tim Tom. And then smash to credits. Figured they figured, okay, we delivered the Sergeant Hatred speech, so we just have to end this and get out of here. Later, everybody. Blackout.
A classic Venture Brothers. It's just got to end.
Yeah.
We ran out of episode to do. We get our credits, kind of a long post-credits scene. We're 21 and Dean talking, Dean saying 21 saying how he always wanted to be a cabinet maker. And Dean giving him a pep talk.
I say follow your dreams, even if they're about a giant spider with your father's head and he keeps trying to steal your penis.
Very good. I love Hank getting naked. This is like the boys, when in the last season, when they were saying how the episode written by Edmund was, or Ben Edlund, was the boys were a little bit immature. They're pretty immature in this one.
Yeah.
Like the boys are real silly in this episode. Hank just got naked because they got naked and he thought maybe there'd be a water slide.
Yep.
That's like you with your trunks, man.
Yep.
And then as Rusty calls the boys away, Hatred gets in one last little child molester joke to end the episode.
Yeah.
Asking if they want to stay at the Neverland Ranch or what have you.
Yeah. Got a basement full of video games.
Yep. I got a pocket full of quarters and I'm heading to the arcade.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the end of the episode. Kind of a, not a great note at the end, but
yeah.
Good up till that point, I think.
Did you mention that Ben Edlund wrote an episode of the Venture Brothers?
Yeah.
He did.
Viva Los Muertos.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh,
the one with the
I did not know
gang?
that. That dude's all over Supernatural, so that's why I was. Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about how they couldn't get him to write. That's the creator of The Tick, That's how the Venture Brothers guys met each other. And they were saying like, oh, if anyone was ever going to write one, it'd be Ben. But at some point, like he just got famous and has a job that actually pays money, as opposed to what we're doing, and that is the episode. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
Yeah, this is a good one. Like all of the villains and the house party stuff really, really works for me. The Muppets less so, but the house party stuff is just so hilarious to me. Like having it be super awkward, having Brock completely checked out during it, the Monarch just monarching all over the place. Just very, very good stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Cole.
So
We're all gonna take a turn interrupting Cole's final thoughts.
No, I really enjoy this the impotent rage that the Monarch has. Just trying to get this, trying to get his arching in on the side, and just the revelation of hatred's MO here. It's a very good and creative. Very good and creative dynamic for them to tap into that, dating your ex kind of thing.
I like that a lot too. All the things you said. The only thing that makes this not stand up higher in my estimation is there's an episode this season, the Now Museum, Now You Don't joke, which does that party hangout vibe kind of thing with characters I like a little bit more, and I think is a little bit funnier, even though I think this one's great as well.
Yeah.
Like they're both good episodes to me. And this season, I tend to like the stuff that is less flashback focused and more, what's going on currently focused.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. Next week, we're going to be talking about the buddy system with Gwen Static.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, composer of our theme song.
It'll be a good time.
Jeremy, where can people find you?
Twitter. I'm always on Twitter at JG Greer. I do another podcast on the network with Gary, Days of Future Cast. Y'all should check that out. We're just about to start Avengers versus X-Men as a big arc, so it's be a good point to jump on to that. And I do a Supernatural podcast about the TV show Supernatural, and we're almost done with all 300 episodes of that show. Finally, It's been 4 fucking years.
A lot of episodes.
Yeah, the name of that podcast is
Monster of the Week.
Yes,
and it's you can find it everywhere at monsteroftheweek.cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it is indeed .cool. Yeah, and you can help us out by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv to get episodes early and get bonus shows. You can also leave us ratings or reviews on Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict, and tell your friends.
You took all of it, Gary. You took all the admin.
I've just been doing it for a long time. It's very easy for it just naturally to do them all in a row.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only thing I have to leave them with is a big ol' Go Team Venture.
Okra.